On this episode of Left Off the Map, Henry Terry is on the road again. This time, he's teamed up with a world champion. David Foster is both a giant in stature and a giant in his sport, winning more world titles as an axeman than anyone else in the world. I'm sending them off to the West Coast to discover a little more about the untouched wilderness area. After the two lads discover a little more about the West Coast, I will be on the East Coast cooking up pancakes, which I believe is a must-have recipe for everyone. But first we will start on the east coast of Tasmania with an awesome cucumber, gin and cold smoked salmon salad. Gin is the new trendy in thing at the moment, so much so that this salmon is cured in gin, and I'm going to use gin in the dressing that goes with the salmon dish. So I'm doing a salmon and cucumber salad with a gin dressing. So the first thing I want to do is make the dressing. Now there are two ways in which I can do this. One, you can put it into a bowl and you can whisk it all together. Or the other way is if you've got a jar or a little cup or a pot or something with a stopper on top, you can shake it up in there. So I'm going to do it that way. I find it's a lot easier. Then it's a good way to store it in the fridge and you can go back to it again and again and again. So I want about half a teaspoon of sugar. I'm going to add as I go. So I'm going to start with half a teaspoon of sugar. Then this is a ginseng and pepperberry spice mix. I want about half a teaspoon of that. Then some of my gin, about half a shot, so 15 mils of gin. Then the juice of one lime. You can see the colour of that. So that's the pepperberries. They're like a dye pepperberry. So because of the pepperberry in that ginseng spice mix, it colours our dressing and makes this beautiful, vibrant, purpley red colour. And then a little pinch of salt. And then I'm going to shake it and give it a taste and see if I need to add anything else. A little pinch of salt. Put my stopper on. Give it a shake. Give it a taste. That's pretty good. It's got a good, because of that ginseng spice mix, which has got some savoury spices in it, it's got a nice savoury note to it, which is really good. Sometimes with gin, especially when you're adding that sugar to the base, it can be a little bit too sweet. So now I'm going to make my cucumber salad. I'm going to top and tail my cucumber first, and then just with mandolin, shave little rounds into a bowl. Now I'm using a Lebanese cucumber and a continental cucumber. You can get the little baby Lebanese cucumbers, which you could use if you wanted to. That's plenty of that. Continental. And the flavour between these is not drastically different. There's a slight bitterness sometimes with cucumber, and if you have got a cucumber that's bitter, you can take the skin off, and that will help get rid of some of that bitterness. Or you can pop it into a bowl like this, put in a little teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. Let that sugar and salt draw the excess moisture out of your cucumber, then strain that, and you'll get rid of a lot of that bitterness that can sometimes be in cucumbers. So now I just want to dress that with my, see the colour, that awesome colour. I'll toss around. Give that a try. And cucumber and gin, again, is a classic combination. You think of the normal G&T, which is gin, tonic, and cucumber, fresh cucumber. It's a fantastic combination. And then just to finish off, to take it from what is just basically a cucumber salad or a little side We'll turn it into a dish. I'm going to use this gin cured and kaffir and lime spiced smoked salmon. We'll get that out. Then on my plate, place some of our cucumber. And get a strip of this salmon. There's probably enough here. And I only used about half of our cucumbers, and I'll use half of this salmon. There's enough here for probably 2 entree-sized pieces. Bit more of our cucumber on top. And that is a dish that harks back to all the fantastic flavours that we think of when you think of spring and summer, having a gin and tonic, and using that resurgence or all the newfound flavours that you can get in gin. So this is the ocean gin, which marries really nicely with obviously where we are on the east coast of Tasmania, and also with the spices that are in the salmon itself. So that kaffir and lime goes really well with the ocean gin, which has got wakame in it. So it's a really good combination. A really, really simple dish, just relying on good ingredients, good base ingredients. So our salmon from Huon, a really, really well flavoured and well balanced gin, and then the spice mix from 41 South, and it's a really good combination.
Today I'm driving the Ford Mustang GT. I've got this from Overdrive Car Hire. They hire out all sorts of exotic and luxury cars, and they're absolutely perfect for these Tassie roads. I'm actually heading to the West Coast today, and my guest is world champion axeman David Foster. He's won multiple world titles, I think more than anyone else in any sport actually, and has also received a Tasmanian of the Year award, as well as an Order of Australia medal for his community service. So quite the guest today. Really looking forward to travelling down to the West Coast and putting this car through its paces. G'day, David.
Henry,
How are you, mate?
bloody good. How you going?
Great to meet you.
You too. You expect me to get here?
I was wondering if we've selected the right car for the job.
I tell you what. See how we go. How's things going?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Pretty good.
You up for a road trip?
We are. I'm looking forward to it, actually. So we've got a pretty good little trip in front of us.
We do. So I think if we started off at the West Coast Heritage Centre, get to know a bit of the history and go from there.
Hey, Phil.
Oh, David,
How are you, mate?
how you going?
Bloody wanted to catch up with you.
Great to see you.
This is Henry.
Hello,
Phil, how you going?
How do you do? Welcome to the Heritage Centre.
Mate, unbelievable.
Great part of Tasmania's history here. A real salute to the pioneers.
Geez, there must be some stories with all this old equipment and all these rocks.
Well, it's an amazing story. You know, 1882, one bloke found silver lead in the creek over the back, and within 18 years, there were 10,000 people lived here.
Yeah, well, Phil, I'd love to see a little bit more. I'd like to know the stories behind some of this other memorabilia here. Are you able to show us around a bit?
Certainly would. Love to.
Awesome. So, Phil, what are we actually looking at here and what are the stories behind all this?
Well, Henry, this is a pictorial history of the West Coast from 0 to 100, you might as well say, from 1882 right up until modern day times. And it really just tells the story of how each of our West Coast towns sort of started from scratch.
So where to next, Phil?
Well, Henry, we might go and check the blacksmith shop out.
Sounds good. Lead the way.
Righto, off we go.
This is where it all happened, Phil.
Yeah, this is our blacksmith shop, David. It's a working forge. It takes about half an hour to light it up, and then you've got to pump the bellows to keep it going. But no, it does actually work. And on our open days, we try and have a blacksmith here and make a few pokers and stuff like that. So
Fire it up.
yeah, it's a great collection of blacksmith's tools.
And David, this is something you'd just bicep curl back in the day?
Back in the day, that was something that I could bicep coil. Only 200 kilos. I only did it one arm those days.
One arm,
Yeah,
one arm with the anvil. Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't make them big enough for me, really.
I actually believe it. So back in the day, I suppose everything, it's not like now where something breaks and we chuck it out. If something breaks back then, you come to a blacksmith to get it fixed.
And get it fixed, that's exactly right, Henry. And even if you didn't have a spanner to fit the nut, for example, you just make one.
So tell me about these trains.
Well, Henry, they're actually locomotives. They don't become a train until you put some carriages on them.
Right.
This one's a big Dubs. Used to run between Burnie and Zeehan, and he only came off the line about 1960, and the Dubs used to carry passengers and freight motor cars. Used to be about the only way to get to Burnie was on the train. A full day to get to Burnie. I can remember as a young bloke coming home from school from Burnie to Zeehan and got on at 6 o'clock at night and I got into Rosebery at midnight. So 6 hours.
Thank you very much for showing us around, Phil. It's been amazing to see all the history and learn a bit about the West Coast. But we're going to keep moving and have a bit of a look around ourselves.
Thanks very much today, Phil.
Thank you, David. Henry?
Cheers, Phil.
Yep.
Great to meet you.
Good to see you.
A good pancake recipe is extremely important to have in your repertoire if you're a father, or if you're a husband, or even if you're a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a husband, or I said that, or a wife. Because everyone loves pancakes, and it's one of those things you can make for someone special in the morning, and it keeps them happy, and it's really, really simple. So I'm gonna show you a banana pancake recipe, and then I'm gonna make a banana rum sauce to go on top of that. So banana pancakes to begin with, some self-raising flour. I'm not going to measure anything here, and you probably shouldn't measure anything when you're making pancakes, because the most important thing is the consistency that you're looking for, really. So self-raising flour, pop that in, some sugar. If you are someone who is really adamant on knowing measurements for recipes, I probably had a cup and a half of self-raising flour and about half a cup of sugar there. Then I've got, to add to my self-raising flour, I've got about a teaspoon of bicarb, just to help us give another kick, so they're nice and fluffy. About a teaspoon of sea salt flakes, and they are our dry ingredients. So give that a mix. And now we've got, or need to add our wet ingredients to that. So I've got an egg, make a little well in the middle. And I am making buttermilk pancakes. The acidity in the buttermilk, I think, is really nice in a pancake, especially when you're having it with something as rich as the banana rum caramel. Got some melted butter here I want to get in before it hardens again. About 25 grams of melted butter in, and then my buttermilk. Now, I'm going to add and stir, being careful not to stir too much, because I don't want to activate the gluten that is in the flour, because if I activate the gluten that is in the flour, becomes really stretchy, and it means that I don't get the ability for the pancake to fluff up, because the bonds that the gluten cause make it stretchy and it'll bounce back. So now I'm looking for the consistency of, I'll show you when I get there. It's a bit hard to explain. Somewhere between, well, somewhere between soft peak cream and thickened cream is what you're after. I'll pop that there, probably a touch more milk. And then I'm going to dice up one banana to put in my pancake batter. Peel my banana. And this will give you little pockets of banana through your actual batter. There's a Jack Johnson song about banana pancakes, which I always think of when I make banana pancakes. And if we could afford the rights to it, we'd play it right now, but we can't, so go and Google it and put it on in the background. So you can do this if you wanted to make blueberry pancakes, you could do this with blueberries. If you wanted to make raspberry pancakes, do it with raspberry. We've done it. My kids love pancakes and pikelets, so I've made so many variations of pancakes and pikelets, you would not believe it. So I've even made Milo ones. That is my pancake batter done. So now it's a matter of cooking. Now I don't need to put any butter in my pan. I've got a good non-stick pan and I've got butter in my mixture. So I'll still get that nice golden colour on the outside. Set your pan at a medium heat, and then it's just a matter of cooking, rinse and repeat, cooking, rinse and repeat, and I'll show you how to do it. And then with a nice stack of pancakes. And once we've got that nice stack of pancakes, then we can move on to making our rum caramel. My stack of pancakes is made, so now it's time to make my banana caramel. So my other two bananas, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to dice up. In this pan here, I need some sugar. Actually, I'll get my bananas ready first so that I can move all at once. Same way I diced my bananas for the pancakes. Actually, I'm not going to slice it. A bit more texture. Bananas are something that lend themselves really well to caramel. I don't know why. They're just out. All right, they're done. Sugar in. So you're making almost like a wet caramel, but instead of using water, we're going to use 45 mils of rum. A good knob of butter. A good pinch of salt. Because we're using brown sugar, we don't have to caramelise the sugar. It's just a matter of making that sauce. Now our bananas go in. Just do that. And because the sugar builds up quite an amount of heat, I can probably, once I've broken all that banana up, turn the pan off. And the residual heat in that sugar is going to soften our bananas enough that we end up with the caramel sauce that we want. Rightio. There's probably enough there for a couple of plates. I'll grab that one. Split our pancakes. Tasty caramel. Oh, yum. Little touch more salt. Oh, that is. It's hard to believe that something that tasty could have come together in such a short amount of time. Spoon your bananas on top of your pancakes. There you go. So if you wanted to, you could put some more fresh banana with it if you wanted to, but I reckon that is perfect as it is. The pancakes themselves take longer to put together than the actual caramel does. So the caramel on its own is a great recipe. So if you did want to, as I said, put that on ice cream or make a sundae, use that recipe for that. But when you bring them both together, it creates for a really, really yummy Sunday brunch or a dessert any time of the week.